All around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired from my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost 20 bucks on...
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Glad you're all here joining us on this call to Wednesday.
Not sure
Wednesday. I don't think you're going to survive.
You may not make it through this hour. Tell you what, you're close to getting smacked.
Four Nations Cup starts tonight. There'll be no fighting for the next week in hockey, so you might see it here.
The Fornication
Cup?
Cup?
Shirt might be over your head.
What's it called?
The Four Nations.
Four Nations.
Canada, U.S., Finland, Sweden. Because Russia's banned from
all the
international
white
hockey,
countries.
a hockey competition.
All the elitist, racist white countries.
Yep. And the one that didn't shut down for COVID.
Right?
Just the one.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great friends at AT Deerland Feed. I want to tell you,
Pre-immersion.
I love it when a plan comes together. My Balan, my B-A-L-A-N, the B-A-L-A-N.
Balan Death March?
Yes, it is down. Yesterday's gentle moisture all day got that into my soil.
Leaving your chickens cooped up
My
for one more day.
chickens are
2
happy.
more days, maybe.
I'm happy. I feel good. The course looks good. I like my chances. Famous Tiger Woods interviews of the 90s.
And you put it down on bare feet and you still have your feet. So it's
Yeah,
good.
they're kind of yellow. 65 degrees in Victoria under cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 75. And for the next foreseeable couple of days, no real rain in the forecast. But it's just kind of meh.
Yeah.
This is Seattle weather. This is where Katie lives every day.
Yeah.
Seattle, Washington. Can you imagine living in this
I could not
every
do it.
day?
Couldn't do it.
And it's funny, like she will literally, I've been on the phone with her folks and she'll go, oh, Dad, let me go. The sun's out in the backyard. I'm going to run outside for a few minutes. True story.
Yeah.
Like we're like, man, it's hot. I'm going inside for a little while. She will run outside. And now my kids and Dawn, they acclimate so well that if it's a beautiful day, they'll go sit on the back patio. It's 100 degrees. But they're not all. I go out there immediately. I condensate. I just sweat like a dog for an hour.
I could not live in the Pacific Northwest.
No, it's just wet, chilly.
Yeah. You get 3 days of this here and it starts to.
Every house
irritate
has
me.
that one side that's just covered in mildew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Commander knows.
You get to the coast and
Maybe it's the north.
smell.
The north side is just covered in green slime.
yeah, you know it's coming
What are you going to do? Well, power wash the house again.
again.
Terrible.
Put more moisture on moisture.
I'm wearing my Astros hat signed by Terry Poole. See it right there?
Yeah, see that.
And we're very close, Terry and I.
He never liked you.
He didn't. And my Astros shirt that I get so many compliments on because I'm hopeful that the Astros are going to do something today with Alex Bregman. I don't know.
Is this our First State Bank Astros update?
It can be.
Well,
They've been
let's
talking.
at least get the podium out of the way. Greg Garcia, Ricky King, Scott Tomko. Good morning.
Very well done.
We'll say hi to everybody in just a
Greg,
second.
right back in with the complete word morning again.
2 mornings in a row.
He's on top of
Would
it.
have been 3, but he false started.
Premature.
Enunciation.
Right.
So you think lots of different rumors with Bregman. 6 years, 126 from the Astros.
156.
Or 156.
26 million a year.
6 years, 180 from the Blue Jays, supposedly on the table.
Taxes. Got to move. You got to go play for a team that doesn't contend.
4 years, 130 million, supposedly on the table from the Tigers and the Bo Sox.
4 years, 130 million is what is that? 32.5 a year. That's a good chunk. And it would reunite him with his former manager AJ Hinch. Do you think there's a chance
if he went to Detroit, but I don't think he's going there.
is Arenado the third baseman that St. Louis says they are committed to moving. He's an all-star third baseman. He's a better player than Bregman. He may not be a better fit for the Astros, but Arenado is a better player than Bregman. Who is his agent? Type in agent next to that. I'm going to tell you something. Joel Wolf. Okay, so I would have been wrong had I opined that maybe Arenado's agent played a little leverage game. I thought that Arenado's agent was Boris, and that Arenado is the one who.
Although he didn't bring you much, I mean, 272, 16, 71. What did
Solid,
Bregman do
man,
last
though.
year? Bregman was
Less.
1585 and less batting average,
Yeah.
but just
Of course,
almost
he
as
plays at
productive.
Busch Stadium, huge stadium, and would have had a field day.
This ain't the old St. Louis.
No, but he'd had a
Busch.
field day with the Crawford box.
Probably so.
But I'm looking at Arenado would have been fantastic. What is this? They run into a major roadblock in the trade talks. Why do they want to get rid of a guy that's so good?
Money.
Yeah.
That's why. He's 33. 3 years left on a 9-year, 275.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, they traded for him from Colorado. I forgot about that. When Colorado thought he was the guy.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to ship him to Boston. Maybe that's why Boston hasn't pulled the trigger on
On Bregman. Interesting. One of the articles the other day was it catches your eye. And by the way, it should be, if not illegal, it should cost you viewership when your headlines are misleading. It's one thing to use the headline to lure me into the article. But when you lie to me, essentially, in your headline, that's wrong. And because too many people just read the headlines. And it said, Astros negotiating 4-year deal with $200 million player. Well, they're using that as an adjective. He's a $200 million player. I'm going, there's no way they're going to pay him $50 million a year.
I'm thinking, who are they trying to sign? Not even thinking that it's Bregman.
Yeah. I could see paying him $30 million for 4 years each. 4 years, $120 million. But after that
pays him more than
I'm not disagreeing, but every
Altuve.
every other player, the last 2 years of this 6-year, $156 million contract, the last 2 years are simply
thank you.
And now the end is near, because his game will be gone. There's no way he'll be worth $26 million at that time. Good morning, Brent Going.
Well, he's what, 29, 6 years, puts him to 35.
he's
He
30.
can still be well, but he can still be a somewhat serviceable DH at that point.
Maybe. He's hurt a lot. And he's a slow starter. Your DH needs to come out pounding. We will see. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. 8 minutes after the top of the hour. Ash is still typing.
260, 26, 75. So he gave you 10 more home runs than Arenado, hit 11 points less, and the exact same number of RBIs.
Yeah.
So less productive when you really think about it,
But he's
from a home
actually-
run perspective, but more.
It was a
productive
down
than
year for Arenado. It was a fairly typical year of late for Bregman. I think, there's been a lot of people, the people that are more stat driven have said that Bregman really only had one great year, and it was in 2017. Or no, 2019 when he hit 296. But you look back then, 284,
272 career
286, 296, then 242, 270, 259, 262.
Wow, that was the COVID year.
He didn't have
242.
COVID.
No, but the baseball was shut down. And then 21, he was hurt a lot.
Yep. 24, he got off to a slow start.
Yeah. So,
Vlad Guerrero Jr. still in play.
and he's not going anywhere. Toronto says he's not going anywhere. He's going to be the cornerstone of that franchise. And rightfully so. I mean, you've got
He's
a
a
once in a
star.
generation talent.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely should be when it's all said and done. If injuries don't derail him or he doesn't turn into Cecil Fielder 2,22,000 pounds.
Right? No, I don't. No, he's really down.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
lost.
no, yeah.
There's David Brager. Saw where David Brager the other day. I didn't get to read all the details, but His daughter had some car trouble. And I think by the time it was over,
Called Allen's Record Service.
no, David ran to the rescue, but I think it cost him lunch, a partial new wardrobe, and maybe like a battery.
Always does.
Yeah. It was a full meal deal for David. That's a good daddy right there.
There's
They
Matt
never
Bosch.
stop being your little girl. You know that.
I know that.
They're always your little
Always.
girl.
Always.
Yeah.
Even when they're 3 inches taller than you.
Ricky King says, do you think Bregman put on too much muscle last year and slowed his bat speed down? I think it's possible. I know that one of his
But
big
he also
mentors
he also thinned down or slimmed down a little bit too. I mean,
one of his big mentors is Jeff Bagwell, and I'm just not certain that that's a good thing these days.
I don't know. Now, probably better now than when Baggy was showing up drunk and drinking. Now that he's
Now on the juice.
Now that he's off, now that he's sober.
He was not only on the steroids, he was on the gin and juice.
Yeah. So, Matt Boucher, good morning. Jarrett McCrugan, Zed Stewart, Kathleen Leininger, Will Vincent, Stephanie Conti, Brent Goen.
Monty Howard.
Good morning, Monty. Torrin Bales,
Torrin
David
Bales.
Glass, Heather Stewart.
What a great group. Classic listener base.
Hey, Funky Trey Molina, Sheriff Louderback, Amanda King, Rena Scherer, Scott Snow, Wendy Hughes Garcia, Buddy Stavanoa, good morning, Lisa Poole, Linda Chris, Tammy Williams, Mark Zapata, Judge Posey, Tammy Keeling, Sherry Jacobs, Bobby Leister reminds us it is Caldo Wednesday. Bobby sets his clock and his calendar by
He
Caldo
does.
Wednesdays.
Really by food in general, by meals in general. Like, Bobby, what time is it? Almost time for breakfast. That's,
Jordan Glass, Micah Patton, Mark Kurtz, Justin Glass. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're all here. Glad you're with us.
Let's take a quick break, and get the sheriff to give us a call in a minute. There were some meetings yesterday regarding school vouchers and school choice.
Yeah,
in
interesting.
Austin.
Speaker, what's her speaker's name? Burrows?
Yes, David Burrows.
Said basically vouchers will pass. It passed the Senate last week.
I don't know exactly what passed the Senate, but it was some semblance of a voucher like. See, the Senate's
School
more
choice,
subtle.
they call it, yeah.
They're more. It's like it's a voucher like thing. It will function as a voucher, but we're not calling it a voucher.
The $500 million we had the last legislative session that we set aside, or that they set aside. I'm not going to say we as Texans, but the legislators set aside. Well, they set aside another $500 million this time. So we've got $1 billion
$500 million here, $500 million
in
there.
the voucher.
Next thing you know,
Slush
you're going to
fund?
get the attention of Elon Musk. Hang on, folks. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get the sheriff to give us a call.
Dollar Floor Store blowing out all their inventory right now so they can make way for new inventory. Get by there on Navarro today if you've got projects, anything from retiling a bathroom.
Just go in there
Yeah.
and let your inspiration. You may all of a sudden go, man, I could redo that shower with that.
Yes.
That would look great.
Go see Tamara. She's great.
After that, get Allen's Wrecker Service to tow all that stuff back to your house. They can do it 578-6300. There's really no way to advertise for Allen's Wrecker Service. They are
Other than the
best
phone
of the
number, and they'll
best.
come get you.
They're the best of the best.
When they
Vera
show
Cruz
up.
Restaurant, we mentioned Caldo Wednesday. Today is Caldo Wednesday. Get in there and get a steaming hot bowl of Caldo. You'll love it. Corn, potatoes, a great broth, Caldo de Res. They've got beautiful beef in there. It's a wonderful, wonderful meal.
Side of rice. I always throw the rice in there.
Get in there. Oh, side of rice. Okay, round eye.
It's good.
USA Concrete Coatings, USA Floor, what we call it, USA Foundation Repair, 578 Home, USA. If your house sits on it, you need to have them come look at it. They can sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it.
They won't steal it.
They won't steal it. Let them help you. Paravita Wellness, getting ready for the Vita Cafe to open. It's getting closer every day.
Make sure you get in there for all your meal prepping needs, especially this time of year with Little League Baseball and girls softball set to start.
Absolutely.
You're going to be somewhere late.
Tomorrow night, Palace Bingo. Friends meet friends, and friends meet us. Get out to Palace Bingo tomorrow night. The first ball pops at 7:30. I try to get there about 7. It gives you time to go over to the snack bar there, which is just it's more than a snack bar. It's a great grill. It's great.
Is this going to be the Commander's debut at Wade and Carter Bingo Night Thursday?
You never know.
There you go. He's
That's a no.
teasing you.
That's a no.
No. He's teasing you. He may come. That'd be great. And when you come to Palace Bingo, you support a number of charities, much like the VFW and some others.
6, I think, right?
Chesnick Furniture,
And we
Chesnick
aren't
and
one of
Love,
them.
make your house a home.
Is there a Wade and Carter scholarship program for Palace Bingo?
No, yeah, right. He thinks it's a
Is it a
profit.
charity?
They are a nonprofit. We are a non-revenue.
But usually one of our listeners wins, at least one.
Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love, make your house a home. Get in there and find out what you need for your home. Now I'm going to reach back out. I don't know if the sheriff is still listening. He has things going on, but I'm going to ask: are you going to touch my deal?
I did.
you
So
go.
the House and the Senate have both set aside, this is Texas Tribune, $1 billion for a voucher-like education savings account program.
Is $1 billion enough? And I'm not being
It's
I'm not
double
being
what was
flippant.
on the table 2 years ago. I mean, I guess with the devaluing of our dollar, we probably need $750 million.
There you go. Give me some the blue one. There you go.
There we go.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good. We're joined by Texas House District 30 State Rep AJ Louderback. Good morning, my friend. And we just Ash and I were just chatting up a little bit about the Senate passing a voucher-like program. And I know that you and Brad Buckley and a group of folks visited yesterday on the House side, and just wanted to give you a chance to maybe give us an update on where you think things are falling and how
Sure,
you
let
think
me-
the vote will go.
Yeah, sure. Let me give you an update. The strategy has changed from 23 in that the ESA bill, Education Savings Account, is the word, because it has multiple uses other than tuition. So a voucher really is just for tuition only. So that's kind of a definition of ESA versus voucher. But if you'll remember back in 23, the school finance bill was actually included with the ESA bill, and so this year the Senate split them into two bills. So taking a different approach. So the first bill that came through the Senate, was SB2, which was an ESA bill. And the details of the ESA and how the money would be spent and so forth there. And this is the hot topic, here in the state to some degree. There's been the polling in House District 30 and all across the state has been very strong in the high 7th and 8th on popularity of the Republican concept and Republican plank of school choice, which I've always said, I wanted education to go up. I mean, we are way too low. I've made this point numerous times that we are way too low in the 50 states. For us to be in the 40s is ridiculous and shameful, in my opinion.
Well, and we just showed yesterday
So-
that Texas is struggling to get kids back to reading on grade level, almost a full level behind, or I think a half a year behind in reading and a quarter year behind in math. So,
Well, TEA and several other sources, independent sources, almost every source that we can see and that you can get your hands on is showing that Texas, really from 44th, 45th, up to as high maybe as 38, but we are definitely in the bottom third on our educational standards. So I think some changes are necessary here to get us back in track. So nothing we've done has worked, successfully to do that. So,
Sheriff, how come the change in funding? There was $500 million set aside 2 years ago. We've added $1 billion or $500 million to that. Why all of a sudden did lawmakers in both chambers think this thing needed to grow to $1 billion to fund?
Ash, that's a great question. I think that they are simply sending a message that the program is robust and that there is a tremendous amount of support for it. I'm obviously aware that there are people who don't. There are people tied to the school lobby that are lobbying very hard and instill, they're using it to instill a little panic and a little fear with teachers and things to keep the system as it is. And so, I personally don't think that it's going to work. I think that it flew through the Senate. Justin Burrows, the Speaker of the House, has already publicly claimed that that the voucher bill, the ESA bill, will pass. I mean, he put that on X the other day. I'm a game day vote on it and check all the details and see where we're going to be. I do agree that we've got to do something with education. I mean, I campaigned on that. I think it's a sound policy. Whether or not, putting money, tax money into private institutions is, that's debatable. But, as far as a concept, an education concept, it's a new direction to go. And, it may have some value. I mean, we may certainly find out. I think he certainly got the votes. I don't think there's any question about that.
So that's the deal. We all agree that it's coming one way or the other. And of course, you and I have talked extensively, and you've talked extensively to our audience here about the two glaring issues are education and the border. We know where you stand on the border. We know you're a leader on the border issues and are going to represent us perfectly there.
And I think $6.5 billion in this budget's been earmarked for border security.
But when I look at, I'm looking at back-to-back comments, and Tammy's comment is very thoughtful, and her last statement is public dollars going to private entities. And Greg Garcia says, the STAR needs to go. No more standardized testing. Let teachers teach the fundamentals. And it's very stark to me, the challenge that you guys face in Austin, Sheriff, because we're talking about public dollars going to private entities. That's not right if we don't ultimately, I don't want the state telling St. Joe how to teach. However, if you're going to let tax dollars go pay for private school, then at some point you've got to have a test that equates their education to my kid's education at West High School. There's got to be a way. You can't just say, well, this kid went to St. Joe, he gets into the University of Texas, where my kid's number 15 at West High School and can't get in. So there's got to be, I'm not suggesting you should have an answer for that right now. I'm just pointing out.
I do. I've got an answer for it.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
It is not, repeat, not in SB2, and it will not be in the House bill that they're, so we have to understand, what does St. Joe do as an example? What does St. Joe as a testing standard? Well, across the state of Texas, there's a number of testing standards. STAR test is not mandated in any way, form, or fashion. So private schools are not going to be made to do anything with STAR. And then, in my opinion, the same way. But there are testing standards. There are measures of a student's abilities and the progress they make. But they are not a STAR test. So they are still free to do any, whatever they choose to do. Texas has accepted those standards. I mean, so that's not really a question about it. There's a lot of people thinking that, with state money or tax money, that they're going to be mandating and making changes, and they're going to get their fingers in it.
Yes,
so that's not the case. Other than the tax dollars going to that. But
on the other side, there's also talk or money being set aside for teacher raises or increased teacher pay. How much is being set aside, and what does that look like per teacher? Do we know yet?
We do. We have a pretty good idea that it is going to be $10,000. So a base pay of $4,000 is talked about, and a rural stipend of an additional $6,000 to kind of close the gap between rural and urban teachers on the pay scale difference.
Nice.
So
Westlake will
this
be
is,
striving to be rural.
Right.
yeah.
Highland Park in Dallas, very rural. Just, we're outside of the downtown area.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, great.
So, I
Sheriff,
mean,
appreciate you calling.
Sheriff,
and letting
always,
us know.
sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
I tell you what,
Absolutely.
it's been impressive to me, not comparing anybody to anybody, but just watching. To say that you have hit the ground running would be a great misstatement. You have hit the ground flying, and as a parishioner, we appreciate you very much, sir.
Well, it won't be from lack of effort here. We've got to make some changes in Texas. We got to make Texas better. So the district in Texas need to move forward here and solve some problems that we've had for a long time. So
You stay
that's
after
my
me.
goal. That's what I'm doing.
Call us when you're back in the district.
Thank you, sir.
All right, boss. Bye-bye.
Sheriff AJ Louderback, our representative, Texas House District
That's
30.
awesome.
Thank you
that's
for
great. He's doing great.
being part of it.
Yeah.
The one thing that, and this is just my observation over the years working in higher ed, though, and it's not just a Texas problem; it's across the country problem, and it's highlighted by the fact that all these states yesterday, as we pointed out, were scrambling to get kids on level for reading and math.
Right.
But we're not preparing our kids to go to college.
No.
We're teaching more and more remedial classes in college. The credits now count towards your degree plan. They never used to. If you had to take them, you paid for them. They didn't apply to your degree plan. They didn't give you credit. They got you prepared. But because we've got so many kids going into the system across the country unprepared for college, there was way too much pressure.
See, I think
kids are paying money for these classes and not getting anything out of it, so they had to start letting them.
It's kind of where your high school class rank in the big picture kind of shows you your ability to learn. And then you actually might learn something when you're in college. Interesting. Yeah.
You did say parishioner.
Yeah. But I said it with sarcasm. Yes, no doubt. Tammy says there's no mandates for student safety or educator certificate for private schools taking vouchers either. But I don't care. I mean, I can't tell you that I'm certain that at our own St. Joe that every teacher is a certified teacher. But if they weren't and the kids were learning, I don't care. I mean, I really don't.
Andy Rockovich says 19% of VISD teachers do not have a certificate at this point.
And I don't care. I don't care. So Tammy's obviously very passionate about this. She operates on it at a level that's higher than 99% of the people, which, by the way, is 100% of the voters, and that's why this will pass.
15% of overhead to oversee the voucher program?
Nah. $150 million? I don't think so.
I don't know. But honestly, I don't know that 15% is that high of overhead to oversee something like that.
And I don't care.
We're finding
it's coming.
When what's Doge is doing and they're finding that the overhead is 80%.
It's going to be here. And I have no doubt that the first iteration that you see will not be the final iteration. They're trying to get it as painless as they can.
Here, I'm forward looking. I hope this makes a difference because what we've been doing hasn't.
Amen.
In the 30 years I've lived here, schools have gotten worse as perception wise and as a whole across this country. So I hope this makes a difference. What happens in 10 years? And Sheriff Louderback will probably be retired by then, but will the legislator have enough guts 10 years from now, if this doesn't work, to say, you know what, we're scrapping it? Because then all of a sudden, I got $10,000 for my kid's education somewhere. Yeah. And depending on what they can do with that money.
I agree. We'll see what happens. Let's just all not panic.
Amanda Blaschi says all students going to a Texas college or university need to be TSI complete, or they take remedial courses. That they never used to have to do that.
Yeah, we didn't.
That's
have
my
to.
problem. That's my point. Is the high schools, and not just in Texas, across the country, aren't preparing kids for college anymore. And I think it's because we're teaching too many things that don't matter for college.
Not to mention, yeah, and I'm not
Or
sure.
we're forcing kids to go to college that don't
There
want to
you
go.
go.
That's the other thing too.
The idea that every kid needs to go to 13th grade is also short-sighted. I mean, it's just not accurate.
Laura Grauman says, "I'm with Tammy. Say no to vouchers."
Okay.
If you want, why are you against vouchers? I'd just like to know why.
One other thing
I'm
that's
not particularly for vouchers. I'm just particularly for
I'm just not
the status
potentially-
quo hasn't done what it's
Amen.
supposed to be doing, and they've tried to fix it. They've tried. I mean, let's get property tax reform.
it's all in how you do the polling, right? She says schools are worse thanks to Abbott. I don't know about that. Let's all look at
School's been on the downslide in
Yes,
Texas for decades. I mean,
decades.
Abbott hasn't been our governor for that long.
But if you think about the polling, if I were to call you at home and go, "Hi, Mr. Whitechuk, do you have just a moment? Do you have a moment?" And you should be, "Sure. You know, what's going on? I want to talk to you about schools." And would you be more likely to be for or against a program that allowed you to determine what's best for your child's education? And if you chose to go down the private school road, that some of your tax dollars could be deferred to support a private school endeavor for your child, would you be most inclined to be for that or against that? Most people are, it's kind of like some of the crazy bills that how can you be against choice? How can you be against freedom? How can you be against your deciding what's best for your kid? Now, if I call you and say, "Do you have a minute?" Are you going to more likely be for or against something that could deteriorate our public school system, could pull the best teachers out of our public schools, and ultimately could
Pull the best students out of our schools.
and pull the best students out of our school? Well, I'm against that.
That's all how they frame the
I'm
question.
against that.
Yeah.
So I don't put a lot of weight in polls. I can just tell you that my observation has been that of those that are in education, they have been either brainwashed or educated to be predominantly anti-voucher, but it's also, do you want to produce this here in America or do you want to send it overseas? America. So, school teachers are going to be against vouchers because there's an uncertainty there as to what's going to happen to them.
And we're worried on the back end about all the jobs that are being taken from Americans because Americans can't do those jobs anymore.
Right.
And it's not just the jobs that Americans don't want to do,
Yeah.
because we're bringing in engineers and others from other countries to do jobs that Americans apparently can't do anymore because we're not educated enough to do them. Andrew Alvarez says, you mentioned 10 years, some legislation he's already working on, if he's elected senator, would basically a sunset clause, right? Lockstep, or I shouldn't say lockstep, but very similar to what Michael Cloud had proposed in the House. My only concern is a 2-year review. I don't know that vouchers would have enough time in two years to see if they're doing what they
2 years
intended to do.
2 years a little short.
But I get it for spending and a lot of government programs. There's probably a lot of data you can.
But where do you get
determine in 2
into,
years.
Ash? Where do you get into?
Monty
Does
Howard
the
says goes back to
state-
a task force that Ross Perot led us on the road we are on.
Does the state then negotiate against itself and promote the voucher program? I mean, the public schools are the state. So does the state then go, step right up and get your voucher?
Well, I mean, if
I don't know.
let's cut to the chase.
It's coming.
It's an admission that our schools aren't working. We heard Sheriff Louderback admit that there's issues,
There's no doubt.
but they don't want to admit that at the higher levels of the decisions that they've been making for decades have been the wrong decisions. And how do you fix it?
Tammy has said this numerous times, and she's not flippant. She says alternative revenue sources to offset property tax. have been on the shelf and ignored since 2019.
Because if they,
I don't know what those are.
various different things. I think state income tax would be one.
No, not going to happen. Won't happen.
Increasing the sales tax, I think, are a couple of things, if I remember correctly. But
if you increase the sales tax,
they're not going to do it because their political careers will be over, which I don't understand.
Well,
because
she says we're taxing people out of their homes, but we keep sending the same people back to Austin.
But we
not
didn't.
in House District 30. We're not doing that.
Well, we did that for 30
And we didn't
for 20
send
years.
2.0, and we won't send 3.0 at the next election either. So make a note of that.
Which I mean, which is interesting because for as little as we pay our elected representatives in Texas, you would think they couldn't wait to get the hell out of there.
Right.
Because they're not getting rich. Well, maybe they are. I don't know. You know, not like AOC, whose reported net worth is like in the millions after what?
Yeah.
3 terms in Congress, but whatever.
I'm not sure I believe it.
Not either, but no, I agree. We've got to fix the taxing issue. That I mean, we just I agree with you, Tammy. That as you know, it's frustrating.
No doubt about it. Taxes suck, but so do our schools. Went Services, Went Electric, Went for all your generator needs. Reach out to the Went family for all you need. If it involves electricity, they're the one to go to. The chopping block this week for only $109.99 a pound. You can buy certified, unbelievable Japanese imported Wagyu beef. They've got it. Now, if you'd rather drop back and get a $12 or $15 ribeye, you can do that as well. Get by the chopping block this week. Cook that lovely bride of yours a special meal on Valentine's night. Brand us. Commander Cody,
I could never get into the heart-shaped steaks.
No, that's stupid. Here you go. Real quick look on the Commander cam. There he is. Give everybody a wave, Commander. There's Commander with the...
You could even say hi if you want. I have your mic on right now.
Oh, wait, there you go. Try it again.
There it is.
They just keep turning my mic off.
Yeah, there you go. And there you go.
Don't you forget it.
Don't forget who's at the con. Ads and Offer and adsandoffer.com since 1926. Ads and Offer is your go-to for a new vehicle. You need a new Chevy, see the USA, and a Chevrolet. Reach out to Ads and Offer. Let them help you. What you got?
White Trash Services?
White Trash Site Services, too. You need to clear some land. You need to get an old, unsightly, leaning barn off your property. Give them a call.
JAS Solutions for all your cleaning.
Deep cleaning.
Deep cleaning.
This ain't maid service. No. This is like
I mean,
deep
it could
cleaning.
be if you only want weekly cleaning, but they can do a whole lot more.
Absolutely. Give them a call. Give JAS. Check them out on Facebook. Give them a call. They can help you. So
we're going to switch gears completely here.
149th Westminster Kennel Club.
Yep. Second longest running sporting event in the United States, only behind
Super Bowl, of course, the greatest game of all time. Yeah. The World Series.
Kentucky Derby.
Well, since America is the oldest and greatest country ever and the biggest country on the planet, it makes sense that we would have the leading sporting events of all time.
Monty, no relation to Monty Howard, the giant schnauzer,
right,
was named best in show this time
do you
around.
Have a photo of Monty?
Yeah, I had it. I got to get to it now because I thought it was going to be here, but it's, oh wait, maybe I can.
I think you probably can.
I think
he's a sporting dog, isn't
I believe they are a sporting dog, yes.
A giant schnauzer. Right? We just can't find.
No.
You should be able to just a straight Google up Monty.
Maybe it's a working dog.
Giant schnauzer right there. Right there. There he is. We don't have a photo.
No photo of him? Oh, man.
I'm just not really. Yeah, the show is in the tank right now.
Wow.
Your love of dogs is costing us viewers.
There it is. Here we go. Thank you. I just
Sure.
had to find it.
Wow, he is big.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I've seen schnauzers.
Can you put him up?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I just wanted to make sure the picture was where it needed to be. Present. Share the screen. Share the screen.
Unbelievable.
Boom. There's Monty the giant schnauzer.
Wow. Look how, I mean, that lady's standing. Now, Monty's sitting on a little box probably.
She's on her knees, but still.
As she should be in front of the boss, in front of the champion. But look, he's got kind of Doberman Pinscher-esque type ears that no doubt were cropped. Giant schnauzer.
Look like a mini schnauzer, only bigger.
Yeah.
There you go. It was on last night. Actually on all weekend. They had stuff going on. They had I watched a little bit of their working or their dog like obedience competitions. It was pretty cool.
Very cool.
What my dogs strive for. I just set them down there. That's what you should be like.
Yeah, just try to be like Monty.
Yeah, they didn't listen. They don't listen.
Monty Howard says, I saw the story about Monty the show dog.
Tammy Keeling says not state income tax is a list of other things other than sales tax.
Monty Howard, Monty Ho. So Monty ain't no show dog. Monty's more of a ho dog.
Monty is a show dog. He's a good architect.
There
Lots
you
of
go.
stuff that he shows.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
He's buddies with
Yeah.
Brent Anderson.
Jared McCrugan, all districts, all countries need to, number one, clean up corruption and waste first before just collecting more taxes to be wasted.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Property tax reform is not an emergency item. Why not? That's a good question.
I agree.
Tammy. I agree.
I
don't know
agree.
who- That's the governor who sets those, right?
Now, you have to be careful. You know, she says our election laws in Texas allow for unlimited donations. Our legislature is bought. Votes for vouchers are bought by 13 million governors spent to primary those standing up for their communities.
Didn't work here.
Yeah, it didn't work. Maybe, by the way, the governor did try to buy this seat here. It
I'm
just
not
didn't
going to
work.
lie with you on campaign finance reform, but how do you then do it? Does it come from tax dollars?
Yeah.
I mean, because if you put a cap on it, let's say it's $5,000 and Commander Cody's running for office and Brent gives him all $5,000 that he's allowed to use in his campaign. Does Brent just become the one that he has to listen to if he wants to be reelected?
Yes.
Yeah, but here's the deal. You can just go back to our last race here, House District 30 race. You have never seen a more egregious throwing of money
At a candidate.
at a candidate than the governor and others did at Sheriff Louderback's challenger, who was basically anointed by the retiring rep. And, and the voters saw through it. So I don't know if you need reform. I think you need educated voters. We have educated voters here in our community. They saw through the garbage. No amount of money, no amount of mail outs, no amount of slanderous TV ads. None of that garbage worked because we all went, pfft. Actually, I think Wade and Carter pretty much corrected everybody.
Does anybody ever check that little box on their tax return? You can send $2 to the election fund.
Yeah, Tammy, you're right. And it's a shame. More than $1 million spent from outside in our community. Yeah.
Linda Chris says that campaign was absolutely an eye opener. There you go. It woke
Absolutely.
It woke a lot of people up. People came out and voted that probably hadn't voted before. There's Brent Anderson checking in. But I mean, when you get to a primary and you close the gap in the runoff,
Yeah.
and then continue, and then you win.
You want to know what's crazy? Here we are in February. This December, somebody's going to announce that they're running against Sheriff Louderback. He just got there.
Yeah, that is one of the issues that I have with that. And
They spend all their time
Congress
campaigning.
That's all they're doing nowadays. So it's tough, but I don't know how you cap the money or where that money then comes from, because where's the only place it could come from if you're going to cap it would be tax dollars, right? Whether it's federal or state.
Everybody gets so much money.
Everybody gets so much. This is what you have to spend, and
don't
maybe
know what
it's
you do.
tiered based on president. You get, and I'm just throwing numbers out there. I don't even know. You get $10 million, and if you're running
It won't
for
be.
House or Senate, you get
It'll be fraud with corruption.
half a million.
Nah, it'll be
Absolutely would, because
Covered up with corruption.
yeah, we're because
All the loopholes,
it wouldn't even be loopholes. It'd be like SMU back in the day giving Eric Dickerson and Craig James a bunch of money under the table. Somebody's going to show that we only spent $500,000 on our
Right.
campaign right up to the limit, but somewhere
only thing
along
you
the
could
way,
do is
somebody's going to slide them money. And
demand that the networks give away advertising time. But then you'd have, I mean, it's just, it won't work.
No, it gets
won't work.
it gets really convoluted. How do you do that? Now you're telling private owned businesses how they got to run?
School board member Micah Patton says, guys, I just see vouchers as an expansion of Texas government. I can see that. TEA expansion under Abbott, don't let it roll away. TEA expansion under Abbott has grown huge, and they will be given additional oversight and more employees to make sure private schools are using the voucher money. And then Texas ends up putting more money in a broken system, which we have numerous examples of. That is, I think, a extremely plausible scenario. It's a doom and gloom view of it. But, I mean, I don't know how many more employees, the Department of the Voucher expense, DOVE, the DOVE program. How can you be against the DOVE?
It's a peaceful bird.
Department of Voucher Expenses.
Spread your tiny wings and fly.
Yeah. I don't get
No,
that.
I get it. And there are opponents who say, why do we want the state, who's done a terrible job of public education, now having their fingers in private education? I understand that point of it too.
I'm not convinced that and we've never looked at it from this side of the pancake, but I'm not convinced that all the private schools really want to deal with the state, getting their fingers into their school either.
Or they want the kids showing up at their doors because they don't have the money for it. They don't have the space for them. Yeah. I mean, there's the fallacy. 10 grand a kid.
We're talking about 150,000 kids over the next 10 years. It's really not enough to worry about.
I think it might be a little higher. But
in Florida, they've been doing it for 20 years. They have 250,000 kids on vouchers.
Yeah, but Florida's public schools have improved as well.
Maybe ours will improve.
If ours
as well.
don't, we're going to see it.
It would be nice if our public schools chose to compete.
What if our public schools what if the vouchers forced our public schools to be better, and then eventually nobody went to the private schools?
Well, here's what I think you'll see happen. You'll see that our public schools can't compete because they have to take every kid, and they have their hands tied when it comes to discipline.
Yeah.
So when you're at OLV and you ain't acting right, they don't care if you're in the third grade. They'll send you home. Go on back to Vickers. And once Vickers gets them back, Vickers can't do anything with them. And the stories are unbelievable. The little kids now know what they can get away with. And their parents come to school. What have you done to my baby boy? There's the problem. The parents are all turds.
When your parents showed up at school,
they were like,
what did my kid do?
Do I get to beat him now?
Yeah.
Is it my turn? It was understood for me. You get spanked at school, you get spanked at home. Only happened once. That's a true story. You don't think it's a deterrent? It is.
Parents used to believe the teachers when they were told their kid was acting like a turd. Now they got to protect them. And no, it's not my kid. My kid's perfect.
Yeah.
I drink with him every weekend.
Right. Well, we were having a beer the other night. He's in the 5th grade. Well, I got him off the weed. Yeah.
Kathleen Lanier, we need to eliminate property tax. Private property is not private. Property taxes are the modern form of slavery. A more equitable system would be a consumption tax. Yeah, I agree. I mean, let's cut spending first, and then let's see what we can do. I mean,
of course, the state of Texas,
$50 billion surplus in the last 4 years in Austin, and instead of finding ways to give that back to us, they've found ways to spend more of it, all of it. That's the problem I've got.
yeah,
We're all cheering what's going on in D.C. with Doge. We need to be putting pressure on.
Of course,
Austin
they
do
have
the
to have a
exact same
balanced
thing.
budget every year, right? They have to have a balanced budget. So
Yeah, but still, probably balance it by giving us the $25 billion back.
yeah. Yep.
I don't know what Tammy's talking about. We didn't mention any lawsuit.
No, or sped cost. I like the idea of vouchers for special ed kids. I like the idea of
Private schools don't have to take a student with a voucher. Well, they might not be able to. Maybe their space is limited.
Right. I mean, for example, vouchers won't affect Victoria, Texas. How are they going to affect Victoria, Texas? What do they got over there at St. Joe? 15 empty chairs? You can't do it. Are you going to go out? Are you as an entrepreneur going to go out and build a new school? Bricks, sticks, mortar? Are you going to build a school and hire teachers?
You get 10 kids at $10,000, it's $100,000.
It won't pay for the teacher. The teachers aren't going to leave the security of a public school unless they're getting about a 40% raise. Nobody with any sense is going to leave a $60,000 a year job for a $65,000 a year job at a program that could go away tomorrow. Well, I could always go back to VISD. Don't bet on it. Don't bet on it. It's a moot point in Victoria County. There is no school. Now, what you could see happen is somewhere up Cuero-esque where you could get Hallettsville and Yoakum and Shiner and Victoria kids that could all come in to a mega private, non-denominational, maybe non-church related private academy that specialized in dual credit courses, accelerated, high-level reading requirements, lots of writing elements, a preparatory pre-college school. And if you're against that, I can't help you.
Maybe Region 3 could do that out of their new place.
They've got enough room. Lord knows they could rent it out.
They could take our tax dollars and our voucher money.
Yeah, no kidding. That is something. Yeah, vouchers won't be much of an issue in this region.
Bonnie Howard's become akin to a wealth tax. We're being taxed on unrealized gains in value. Absolutely. Kind of just say, well, this is what your house is worth.
Yeah. Got folks up here looking around at the offices at 205. Beautiful space. You got time to come up someday. We'll show you around after the show.
Sure, Jacob says if parents would make their kids' mind at home, wouldn't have as many problems at school. That was part of it, yeah.
It all comes down. It all comes down to parenting.
Yeah,
it all
really
comes down to people not making their kids learn English. It all comes down to people not helping their kids with their homework. Don't forget, until a kid's about 15 years old, he's just a kid. Either you're helping him or you're hurting him.
What do you make of President Trump basically saying, "Hey, you know what? Time for FEMA to be abolished."
Yeah, I like the idea because FEMA is out of touch with reality. You can just see by the debacle going on in the Carolinas that FEMA doesn't know what they're doing. And these are not poor people. These are just run-of-the-mill working folks. And I think that Trump's not saying that there won't be federal funds in times of emergencies. What I think he will do is maybe, for example, reach out to Congress and let the representative or the senator from that area deal with the governor of that area and get the funds to where they need to be implemented. I think there's a lot of potential for graft and corruption in FEMA.
Well,
I
an
think there's a
influence.
lot of favoritism.
Yeah, remember the stories coming out of North Carolina where FEMA workers were told not to go to help a house or call on a house that's got a MAGA flag flying or anything.
I think the governor should be able to make that call. I think they're more in touch with their constituents.
$59 million last week to house illegals in New York, as we talked about yesterday. I mean, this is the problem where and then there's FEMA money.
Yeah.
But FEMA was telling folks in Hawaii a couple of years ago, we don't have any money for you.
Tell them about that vote gentleman that. So he was he went to work. Elizabeth Warren created a
Consumer Fraud and Protection Bureau or something
underneath
like that. Yeah.
the guys. It runs underneath the Federal Reserve, and the idea being that the CFPB, which I don't know exactly what that stands for, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that isn't subject so much to Congress because it's under the Fed. And Vote went in and day one. So these folks, every quarter, they submit basically an invoice to the federal government. This is how much money we need to do what we do, and vote on day one as he's the acting director.
Yeah,
Said we won't need any money in the third quarter of 25. We don't need any money.
he is the director of management and budget organization and the acting director of the CF.
By default, because he's
Yeah.
And he just said we won't need any money. We have I don't know what the number is. It's a shame, folks, that whether it was 7 million or 700 million, we don't know. I think it's 7 million. He said the money that we have in our account already is sufficient for us to discharge our duties under our charter. And the people there are just freaking out. What do you mean he's not getting more money? Because everybody at the government knows if you don't spend it, you don't get it.
Yeah.
And he's doing more of an impoundment approach as opposed to spend it so you get more.
But Wheaton College went on their website and said, congratulations and prayers for you as you assume this new role. That was basically all they said. But then apparently Wheaton College said, well, we had a significant number of people protesting us.
Which is amazing to me. To put it in perspective, Wheaton is an old abolitionist, founded Wheaton College. Think of it as being like Baylor. And it's a Christian-based college. Yeah. Imagine if a Baylor graduate was put in this role, and Baylor University put up a billboard that said, "Are you going to make it?" Okay. They put up a billboard that says, "Congratulations,
congrats, BJ Nelson, for being elected to the Victoria ISD School Board."
And then 2 days later, they come back and say, "We have taken that down. We don't endorse any candidates. We're not a political action type environment." That's a shame. That's a shame that little old Wheaton College finally has somebody, really get something going, and they can't say hats off to our own. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Too much pressure, too much political pressure. So,
no, the decision that they made became political. Well, we're not a political. We don't. We're but you are political.
You're going to have to do a quick Cody cam. Look, he's over there. He's down. He's hunkered down. He needs an IV. And Brian Small just said, get Cody a cracker for that oyster. No kidding. Just get him a shot of Tabasco sauce.
Absolutely.
And let him suck it all
horseradish
down.
might clear everything up, too.
Man.
Well, you can go get some today.
I know. Today's the day.
It is the day.
Aldo.
But, yeah, it's crazy for me that Wheaton would say what they said when we're not trying to be political, but you made it political. But here's the other point. A significant number of people, that's bullcrap.
Well,
because we all know how the internet works.
6 people.
It's a small
fake outrage
number of people who actually complain.
Semi-educated idiots who pop off about something they have nothing
You're telling me 51% of Wheaton grads went online to complain about your message? It didn't happen.
And it wasn't even like, hey, go clear out the swamp. It was like, prayers for you. You're a Christian school.
Congratulations and prayers to Russell Vought on being confirmed as director of Office
Boy,
of Budget
that's political.
Management.
We have to avoid that. Brent Anderson says, you're correct. I worked for the Industrial Accident Board back in the mid-'80s. Every year they would make sure they spent everything, regardless of what they spent it on, in order to ask for more. I have no problem. If you have a problem with someone going through and basically doing zero-based budgeting and making government offices account for what they're spending, I'm telling you that you're un-American. Just a fact. You're un-American.
You know what you do? You're the manager of that department and your budget comes in, government budget comes in under, give him a raise.
Bonus that out.
And then give him all the money that he didn't spend back into his budget the next year and say, keep it up.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to work with Tammy here. Wheaton College equals Heritage Foundation equals Plan 2025.
Conspiracy
I have
theory.
no idea what that means.
And
I can usually follow a good conspiracy. I think it was a private Christian school congratulating a guy, one of their alumni. It's a nonpartisan, deliberately nonpartisan institution. And they simply congratulated one of their own for getting into a role of prominence, and then they caught heat for it from a bunch of idiots that had nothing to do with the situation.
Absolutely.
There you have it, folks. That's the top of the hour. The judgment is complete. We have told you what we feel about things. Hope you guys have a great day. Have a great day. Be safe on the roads. We love you. We'll talk to you
today, bingo tomorrow. We'll see y'all later.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
I've been kicked out of my near every